Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sean with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and today we got another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, this time for October 20th, 2021. This is your midweek edition of this report, and we are going to take a look and explore some of the most recent completed sales from the last 2 days or so of notable errors and varieties that people like you and I have found in change or through coin roll hunting, or maybe perhaps going through dealer backstock or long row boxes or cherry picking coin shows and all that great stuff. If you're able to find some of these and you get them for either face value, or you end up cherry picking something nice from a coin shop and you're paying just whatever the regular price is, the good news is you've probably added a really nice piece to your collection, A, or B, you have found a candidate that you could flip and make some extra money. As you guys know, every single coin highlighted in this report video is what we consider raw. All right, raw means ungraded, uncertified. You don't have to send these out to the graders to get them attributed as an error or some sort of double die or repunchment mark variety, things of that nature. Normally these coins are worth just enough money that you could go and sell them. And the cool thing about the error and variety market is a lot of the coins speak for themselves. The one thing that holds up a lot of folks when it comes to selling on eBay is they want that quick cash. And there are just some coins that it doesn't sell all that quick, but they are certainly supplemental. So you throw it up for a buy it now listing, in conjunction with your regular auction listings of other coins. And that's how you make the money. Patience is key. Sometimes a coin can take a few days to sell. It could take a few months to sell. But as long as you have those front and forward and you have taken great pictures, then you could certainly sell a lot of these coins and make money. Some of the most successful eBay sellers sell a wide range of coins and currency items, whether they're errors or varieties or not. A lot of these pieces are circulated. A lot of them are uncertified, and as long as you have just this wide mix of different numismatic items on your store, then you'll do okay. But in any event, we have a very active market report video. We got 33 coins and currency items to talk about, so I figured let's go ahead and jump right in to the list. Again, these are all sales from the last 24 to 48 hours. And we're going to go ahead and start it off with a 1998 Lincoln Memorial set. Now, unfortunately, this seller did not have a full image of the reverse of the coin, but that's where a lot of the interesting bits and pieces of this particular coin lie. Now, he or she actually did a really good job at taking close-ups of the areas in question. You see a lot of these parallel striation lines, and as we know, the coin or the U.S. Mint employees, they're not perfect. Right? They try and clean up a die the best they can. Maybe, the dies had clashed at one point and they have to sit there and file away that offending area on the coin. And sometimes they go a little heavy-handed. A lot of what we're seeing here are undeniably die gouges, all right, as a result of the polishing methods of this particular set of dies. I mean, these are quite strong. You can even say that these are even feeder finger marks as well. They kind of fit that same profile. The only thing is the gouges are in various different types of places. They're not exactly in the middle of the coin as you would expect it. I mean, there's a few right here above the Lincoln Memorial statue. But all in all, I mean, this is a really neat coin. It's not worth a whole ton of money because it is a copper-coated zinc era of coin. This one sold for $3.80, and that's with 4 bids combined. But many kudos to the seller for actually taking the time to do really nice close-up images, in spite of the fact that there wasn't a full reverse picture, which I recommend. If you're going to sell on eBay, make sure you have a full obverse and reverse image of every coin, including any close-ups that you could add in there. That's certainly going to help out your sales and your overall cause. The next one that we have here, another Lincoln Memorial. Now, as you can tell, we're going a little bit slow. into this before we get to all the spicy listings. I mean, there's quite a few of them later on down the line. But we have a 1988 Lincoln Memorial. This one is a broad struck error. And as you can see, the coin is a little bit larger. You could tell just the amount of extra space between the motto "In God We Trust" to the actual edge of the coin. It's a lot wider than the normal tolerated range for the shape of the coin. Which, by the way, this one is probably close to the size of a nickel. But this one right here is a broad struck error, and these are caused when the coins are being struck. The collar that engages and holds the coin in the striking chamber as it's being struck wasn't fully engaged. Sometimes it could be tilted, sometimes it could just be completely absent prior to the strike. So, it's a mechanical thing that works alongside the actual striking process of the coin. But in any event, the metal flow has to go somewhere, so it goes outwards, and it makes the coin actually a lot larger than what it's supposed to be. This example sold for $28.75, and I believe it's a buy it now listing. So it's a pretty solid sale. The coin does exhibit some carbon spotting, which is a type of corrosion on Lincoln cents, and especially on zinc cents. They're quite corrosive and kind of cancerous to the coin, where over time it'll spread to the zinc core areas. So you want to make sure at this particular case that you'll store them properly if you are a buyer of these. And here's a side-by-side of the broad-struck 88 next to a regular Lincoln cent. You could tell that it's quite a bit larger than the other coin. The next one that we have here is a seldom seen date in an off-center struck type of error. This is a 1978. It's a pretty nice coin because it has a full date, and that's what collectors care about. A lot of collectors collect a specific type of error, and they collect by date. So they want a whole date run of off-center struck coins. This is a great candidate right here. It looks pretty well circulated. Couldn't even believe that something like this would circulate before finally being discovered as something just different. So, kind of hard to say why coins like this circulate, and go through many hands before it's finally found. Personally, I'd figure by the time it hits the first hand, it would certainly be an interesting find for sure. This one here sold for $12.99. Here's another off-center struck coin, this time a Jefferson Nickel. However, it doesn't have a date on there. So, that's kind of like one of the strikes going against it. But what it lacks in an actual date, it more than makes up for in the overall appearance of it. Just take a look at the letters on the reverse of the coin. It's all stretched out. It has very nice eye appeal. It's actually quite wicked. And I think to people that actually collect these, regardless of whether it has a date or not, will generally pay up for them. And the coin is in phenomenal shape. It's a nice mid-state example that exhibits luster and not a whole lot else going on that would be distracting. This one right here is sold for $28.75. Now this time we have a lot of 18 Statehood Quarters. These are all 2005 Philadelphia struck West Virginia quarters. Probably came from the same roll, but as you can see, a lot of these coins have those funky little areas on the coin where the luster is obscured or just otherwise been broken through. And what we have here is a number of coins that have been struck through grease. So the grease has been applied to the dies as a way of help kind of lubricate those dies, because the minting presses are machines that exhibit wear and tear after so many strikes. So they have to continuously lubricate the machinery, the dies, and all the moving parts on there. So when there's a little skim of grease on the die, it'll translate onto the coin as being something like this, where you're not going to get complete metal flow to exhibit the best kind of luster. You'll get these luster breaks because of the struck through grease areas. Now, there are a number of them, again, 18 of them, but On a singular coin level, you can't really make a whole lot from these. You'll be lucky if you make like 50 cents to $1. On the totem pole of US Mint errors, these are all the way at the bottom. They're quite common. So your best bet is to take all the coins that you have and sell it as a lot. You would be surprised how much you could get for it. In this particular case, this seller managed to squeeze out $40.74 for all 18 quarters. That's $4.50 face value, by the way. So that's a pretty nice flip right there for a, pretty remarkable amount of money. And we have another quarter, this time a 1985p. Now, the seller had mentioned that this was an off-center struck coin, which it does look like it on its face. And when I mean face, I mean the obverse of the coin, which is the front of the coin with a date and actual portrait or bust of that particular president or Lady Liberty or whatever. But in this particular case, you see that the front of the coin looks to be a little bit off-center. However, on the back, it's completely centered. So it's not an off-center struck example, but it is misaligned dies, all right, which is a type of error. So when these things are being struck, and again, the wear and tear component on the mint presses and the machinery will jostle things a little bit loose. So when the obverse die or the hammer die is a little bit loose, okay, it'll have a little play. So when it strikes the coin, maybe there might be a little bit of a jump or what have you on the strike that'll cause the obverse strike to be a little bit off center. All right. So, but the back of the coin looks good. The coin obviously has circulated. It does have some what they call the ring of death, which is the scrapes that you see here that are radial in nature, and those are caused by the crimping machines. So when these coins are wrapped in paper craft rolls, there's a machine that'll actually crimp the ends, and it actually digs into the coin. So you see a little bit of a scrape here over the motto, and then a little one right here on the right side as well. But even with all that, this coin still sold for $13.74. So that's a pretty good hit right there. If you do see them, make sure you pull them out. All right, and here's one that's quite similar to the previous coin. This is a 1981p Washington quarter. It looks a little bit off center, but you'll notice on the reverse it's off center as well. This is either one of two things. It could be a little bit of a broad strike. Again, there's an omission of the collar. Maybe the collar's tilted a little bit on one side. But when we look at the edge, you see just kind of like all the evidence you need to determine that this is a partial tilted collar and not so much a broad strike. You could see that half of the reading has been struck over while the other half of it has not. It's all nice and flat. So this coin right here sold for $15.25. Again, lots of credit to the seller for taking pictures of the edge. Most people wouldn't do that. Oh boy, Washington crossing to Delaware, 2021 quarter. Now, much like one of the listings earlier in the video, this individual did not add in a full obverse picture to their listing. Again, that's kind of a no-no. I recommend that you guys take a full picture of the front and back of the coin. But this coin is well known for a number of die chips and various other things going on. But this is a new one, actually. Haven't seen one of these yet, and we have another partial tilted collar, as you can see right here. This particular seller had sold two of them, and all he or she had was two examples of this PTC on the 2021 Washington crossing the Delaware. So you're probably asking yourself, well, how much was he able to sell them for? Well, quite surprising. This seller sold each of those examples for $59.99. There's got to be more out there. These quarters are kind of like the hot topic right now, not only for the various die chips and breaks that you see on them, but there's also die clashing, strike throughs, a bunch of weird other things too to find. And then you could add this one to the list. I mean, it's a $60 coin. It seems like all the errors that are being found from this particular series of coin have been gaining tons of traction. And another thing that I didn't bring up, this is a Denver minted coin. So for those of you on the West Coast that's not getting a ton of love trying to find errors and varieties, here's one that you could add to your repertoire of things to find. All right, so 1972D, Kennedy half dollar. All right, this is one of the most common dates to find if you're a roll hunter of half dollars. Now, the reason why you're hunting those is for the silver, right? But this coin right here is as good as silver. It's one of the tougher dates that has the missing FG initials on the reverse. You can see that right here in this little space. It's completely missing. There might be a little bit of remnants on there, but it's pretty well abraded off. All right, so it's been over polished. This is also designated as FS901 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And this one sold for $24.44, which the last time I checked is worth a whole lot more than a 90% half dollar. So, a little food for thought as you're going through your half dollar rolls. Make sure you look out for these. And here's a 1998 Lincoln Memorial cent, another one to add to your list of off-center struck coins. However, this is one of those common dates where you find off-center strikes from 98 to 2001. They're quite common. They're not worth hundreds of dollars, but if you find a really nice example, you might have to pay a little bit extra for them. This one right here is off-center by about 20%, somewhere around there. And this one sold for $15.54. Now here's a pretty neat one. This was actually sold by Sullivan Numismatics, who is one of the foremost experts in error coins. Okay, he has a website called SullivanNumismatics.com, and this is one of them that he had sold here in the last day or two. It's a 1971S that's off-center by about 95%. I mean, that is pretty insane. And most insane is that there's actually a full date on that little struck part of the coin. And that kind of lends to just the extreme appeal for this example. The coin, I believe Sullivan had mentioned it was cleaned. So it's not going to be a coin that will straight grade if you did send it off to PCGS or NGC. This one right here, through 20 bits, lots of activity on this one, sold for $103.10. A little word to the wise, if you guys are at like coin shows and shops and you see things like this, where it's like off-center by at least 75% or higher and it has a full date, and they're asking next to nothing for them, like 20, 30 bucks, you should probably consider picking them up. If not to add to your collection, maybe to flip later on down the road. In addition, this is a very tough date as well. Here's another Washington crossing to Delaware, this time a Philadelphia example. And yeah, the good old die chip is back. Now, it's not the big, large crown hamburger die chip that we're used to seeing. Those things have been kind of falling off lately. We're not seeing nearly as many listings of that particular late stage die chip. But we have another good one here for you. It looks like he has what looks to be a smattering of mashed potatoes right on top of his head. It's not big enough to go into E pluribus unum like the big crown die chip does, but this one's definitely worth finding as well. 2 bids altogether, and this one hammered for $55. That's a surprising amount of money, but it just goes to show you that there is a lot of interest in these die chips. All right, here's our first piece of paper money. We have a 1963A series $10 Federal Reserve note with a gutter fold. You can see just that long omitted area here, this line, and that's caused by a wrinkle in the sheet before the printing occurred. Now, somewhere down the line, the sheet was stretched out a little bit because we do have a full print on the reverse. You could see actually where the gutter is right here. However, you have a full print. All right. If the wrinkle was still in the sheet when the second printing occurred, which is on the back, then you would see a gutter here on the back as well. But that's a full complete reverse there for you. And this one through 27 bids sold for $80.19, which is a solid amount of money for one of the most common errors that you could find on paper currency. Here's another nice one right here, 69D, another tough date. And, this one's off center by about 65, 70%, give or take. It's got a nice brown patina, which is what I like about this coin. I mean, it doesn't hide anything. It probably circulated a little bit before it was eventually pulled out of there. But the coin has lots of character. You have a full date. It's very strong. No damage on there. This is a prime candidate for some sort of off-center strike collection. And this one sold for $53.48. Now, it's crazy that you would find one of these at all raw. I mean, a lot of these over-date 1942 over 1 Mercury dimes are generally in some sort of slab holder, whether it's through PCGS, NJC, maybe Annex, you never know. But this is one of the marquee varieties in the modern era of coinage. And, this, you don't really need a magnifier to look at this. I mean, you could see the 1 right there under the 2. I mean, it looks legit. I don't see anything that screams counterfeit on this one. It's just an old typepiece is what it is. Up close, that's what that looks like right there. And this one right here, through 21 bids, sold for $535.25. Its kind of technical grade is somewhere in that XF40, XF45 region. Now here's a stunner right here. This is a Texas Statehood Quarter. Check out the date, 2004, and it is a Denver. This is a Denver coin. This one is off center by about 10%, but boy, the coin is in such beautiful shape. It's a nice mid-state condition coin, like a mid-state 64, 65. I mean, it's a beautiful example. And like I said before, errors on Statehood Quarters are quite scarce and they are in demand. This is not the first one that we're going to talk about in this market report video. And it probably won't be the last either after this video is all said and done. This one right here, through 6 bids, sold for $13.99. It's slightly off center, but you could also make the argument that it could be a broad strike as well. Now here's our first lot of coins. Now I'm telling you guys, look out for these lots. If they got some pretty nice stuff and you could buy them cheaper, then you could take the coins and flip them and hopefully double your money. And that's what I recommend if you could do that. But I think the secret's out. A lot of the lots I've seen here in the last 2 or 3 weeks have been kind of overachieving in the money department. So this is a lot of 6 Lincoln Memorials that are all struck off center. Unfortunately, none of them have any readable dates. So you also have to take into consideration that particular factor when you're buying these. If they don't have dates, they're not going to command quite the significant secondhand market for them as if they did have dates. So that's something to keep in mind. This lot of 6 here sold for $36, and that's with 23 bids assembled to get to that point. All in all, it's $6 a coin. I don't think you'll be able to double up on these. These are like $8 to $10 coins. So as a lot, you do get a discount, but as far as flipping, it's going to be tough on this one. But it's a nice lot. Now this one's really cool. I have yet to find one of these. I might just bite the bullet and actually buy one because it's one of my favorite doubled dies. But this is the 2011 Lincoln Shield cent. This is also WDDO number 2. So this is the second Wexler attributed double die. The best part of it is the date. It's all stretched out and crazy looking. You also have some pretty nice doubling on Liberty and in the motto to a lesser degree. But this is another good one to look out for. You're probably, for those of you living on the East Coast that have access to Philadelphia minted coins on a regular basis, the likelihood that you'll find one in a supreme mint-state condition type of grade is going to be quite tough. So this one right here obviously has circulated a good deal and still sold for $10. It's one of your more common double dies. Same with the 2015, but this is another good one to keep an eye out for. Now here's a pretty good cherry pick. So if you're able to grab a hold of some Buffalo nickels, you can find something like this as well. Now it's a tougher date, but because of its grade, it's a coin that you can pick up for around 10, 20 bucks. It's a 1921S Buffalo Nickel. It does have some annealing issues, so we do have some laminations and various other things on here where, in my estimation, could be a distraction on a coin like this because it is a two feather. All right, so the third feather is slightly weak. It's a little bit abraded, but the major grading companies will assign this as a two feather all day long. It's also one of the dates for a two feather Buffalo Nickel. It's one of the most widely collected varieties in the Buffalo Nickel series, and if you could find them in mid-state condition, boy, those are quite pricey. This one right here, in its condition, sold for $151.29. Considering the overall look of the coin, that's a surprising amount of money. Now this one's super subtle, but I've talked about this one quite a bit. It's a 2006P Colorado State Quarter with a little bit of a cud die break on the reverse here at the K9 or 9 o'clock position of the coin. So it's very small, but there are some that are much bigger. Sometimes they'll show up on the right side of the coin. Sometimes they'll show up on the left, like this one. But these are always a good solid find. They're actually more common than you would realize. And this one sold for $10.99. All right, this might be our last piece of currency on the list. We didn't have too many, but this is a good one. So the modern $2 bill is probably one of my favorite looking notes. It looks really neat. It's very complex in its engraving. But this particular note right here has something really cool. As you can see, it's missing a serial number. And furthermore, if you looked at the serial numbers, the printing is quite weak on there. So what we have here is an insufficient inking error, where the wells for these particular digits ran out of ink. And as you can see, some of the other letters and numbers are weak as well. But this is a rather common occurrence on $2 bills, not to mention mismatched serial numbers, but they only occur on the 76 series. Like you can't find them on the, 95 and the 2003, I believe, are the other two more mainstream series or modern series. But this one right here is really cool. Here's the back of the note. Again, it's my favorite for a reason. But you could still pick these up at the bank if you ask for them. They do have these there. This particular note sold for $26.94, and that's with 6 bids. It's not an incredibly valuable note, but if you did find them, they're certainly worth holding on to. Now, there's always a big one on the list. This is one of them here. It's a 1900 Indian head cent. This one is off center by about 20%. This one is a stunner. It's a beautiful coin, nice high grade condition, probably like an AU 50, 55-ish type of grade. You still have some mint red in the protected areas of the coin, like around the letters and all that. So it's a pretty nice error, one that's highly liquid and highly collected. So when they come up in the marketplace, they tend to, get picked up rather quickly. This particular example sold for $420. It was a best offer listing. I believe it was like $450 or best offer. He accepted $410 and shipping was $10. So I don't want to hear any $420 jokes, but just to let you know, it did sell for that amount of money. All right, so this is probably the most surprising one of the week, but I've also talked about this one in great detail a few videos ago, a few pocket change market report videos ago, and that's the 2017 Lincoln Shield cent. These are all Philadelphia struck, and this one exhibits really strong die clashing. You could see that right before I get to the close-ups. You have a lot of clashing of that shield and the E pluribus unum letters on there as well. Incredibly strong. The coin is in nice preserved mint state condition, and this one sold for $80.75, and that's with 15 bids. So there was a ton of people interested in this. I could see why. Some of the most craziest die clashing surprisingly has a strong secondary market. Here's another favorite of mine, 1972, only because you could find a lot of double dies on these. Okay, so the one that we're highlighting in this video on this coin, keep note of the condition. It does have carbon spotting on the reverse. It's circulated, but this one is, let's see, double die obverse FS102. So this is DDO number 2 in the series. Your strongest doubling, aside from the date is just okay. It's not the craziest doubling, but you do see quite a bit of doubling in Liberty and in the motto, "In God We Trust." So those are going to be the two main areas for FS102. And this one sold for $22.95. Here's that other Statehood Quarter, this time a 2000p New Hampshire. But check out how off-center this one is. It's off-center by about 20%. It's one of the more crazier looking errors I've seen in quite a while, short of a double or triple struck coin. But this one right here, it's pretty nice. A lot of people were interested in this one. It sold for $43.50, and that's with 5 total bids. Here's a 2005 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This one, as you can see, looks to be a little bit off-center. Probably more broad struck with a partial tilted collar as well. And you can just see it. You can see it on the edge, but for extra measure, the seller did provide a really nice edge view of it. You could just see the stepped appearance of this, where the collar was partially up on one side. So it dug into the coin when it was struck. So give that stepped railroad look. They call it a railroad edge. Or railroad rim, rather, you know, one of the two. This one right here is sold for $10.40, and that's with 4 bids. We do have a couple more lots here, and these are all provided by Mr. Fred Weinberg on his eBay store. Again, one of the big error enthusiasts to ever lived. But this is actually a really nice lot. We have a lot of 5 off-center struck 1970s Lincoln Memorials. They all have full dates. They all seem to be problem-free. So if you're looking to add to your date list of off-center struck Lincolns, you could certainly check off a few boxes with this lot. The coins are in really nice shape. There's the reverses there for you. This one sold for $43, and that's with 21 bids. And then here's another lot as well. Again, you have full dates here, full mint marks. This one, pretty nice. It's a 1970. They all seem like they've circulated at one point, which is, again, strange considering what they are. You have a 76, 1970, 74D, and then finally a 75. And these 4 coins in one listing sold for $67.10, and that's with 20 bids. There's a reverse of the coins. This one right here is a uniface. So that's what that one looks like. And we also do have a couple really nice nickel cuts or die breaks. Here's a 72D. It's covering up We Trust. So, or part of Trust, but this is the break in the die that translates to a big old gob on the coin because it's missing. So it's not going to strike anything. Little word of note, there is a pretty sizable scratch or gouge on the back, which is post-mint damage, which is unfortunate, but I don't think it really discounts a whole lot from the actual main focal point of the coin, which is that cud. And this one sold for $54.63, and that's with 9 bids altogether. And here's another one from the same seller. This time we have an unknown date. We don't know what it is. It is a Denver, so for those of you, on the West Coast that's feeling no error love, here's another one to look out for. This one right here sold for $37.75, and that's with 6 bids on this one. Another nickel, this time a 1944p. This is a silver wartime alloy coin. Pretty nice. I mean, it's silver, baby. So it's a very popular collected date range of coins because of what it is. And this one has 2 curved clips. This is actually our only clipped coin on the list, believe it or not. But this one right here exhibits double clips. You can see this one right here above Jefferson's head. And then this one right here, you do have a little bit of flattening of the opposite rim, which is what you call a Blakesley effect. And this one right here is sold for $51, and that's with 15 bids altogether. Now this one's neat. This is a 2016 Jefferson Nickel, so no really good reverse pictures to use, but that's okay, because all the good stuff is on the front. This one has a nice sizable strike through, which at close examination looks like this. So that's a combination of hardened grease and debris that had fallen onto the coin prior to the strike, and it created this massive fissure on the coin. This one right here is sold for, really, $63.18. I need to look through more of these modern nickels because at $63 a pop, I mean, that's a heck of a score right there. So well done to the seller. And finally, you guys ready for the last coin? Because it's a big one and one that I don't seem to talk about that much, but a lot of you are talking about it. It's the 1988, and keep in mind, this is the Philadelphia Lincoln Memorial struck coin. This one is the 88 reverse of 89 variety, also known as the FS901 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Now, the Philadelphia is much more scarce than the Denver type of the same transitional reverse. In this particular case, what you're going to look for is on the FG initials. It's sitting further away from the base of the monument, so from this little wall right here, compared to a regular 88 reverse of 88 coin. But this letter G has a different look or type style than a traditional G should have. It's got the vertical bar that extends beyond the bottom curl of the G. I forgot what you call this, but that's what that looks like. It's unmistakable. Once you've seen one, you'll know exactly what it is because it pops out like a sore thumb. All the other more common FG reverse of 88s or whatever you call them will have just a standard, it looks almost like a letter C, and a lot of them are so weakly struck, while the reverse of 89s will traditionally have a really well struck set of initials on the reverse. But that's what that one looks like, and this one, through 4 bids, keep in mind the condition, this puppy is pretty well circulated, sold for $43.55. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a coin that you did not have to grade. You don't have to grade stuff like this because it'll still be worth $43.55. Grading and spending $100 to take it to PCGS does not guarantee that you're going to get much more money out of a coin like this. It's not like it's a Mint State 66 or something like that. But there you go. That's the Pocket Change Market Report. Time to go out there and do a little hunting. If you're not doing it already, you should probably do so because these coins are coming out of the woodwork and people are making money hand over fist on their favorite errors and varieties. So why not you? Why not me? I got to do more of that stuff. But that's going to go ahead and do it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you again for all the views, the likes and supports, and the dislikes too. I'm not going to discount those. Don't forget to like, share, or subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. Hit the dislike button if you don't. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Coinaholics of all ages, we are discovering together each and every single day. You guys take care. Have a good one. Best of luck in your hunts. And I'll see you on the next coin video.